Kamino, the planet of storm. Kamino is a stormy world located in a remote world even by the Outer Rim standards. Kamino is actually considered part of wild space. Located within a dwarf satellite galaxy in a close and decaying orbit at some 12 parsecs beyond the Rishi Maze, and is the fifth of 13 worlds circling an aging star. Without a doubt, the most notable feature of Kamino is a huge and agitated ocean that covers the entire surface of the planet, and there are fierce storms that continually lash the skies. Kamino was not always a world covered by unending seas. Centuries before the Kaminoans developed their technology, Kamino was a largely terrestrial world with massive inland glaciers and polar caps, estimated to have contained upward of 70% of the planet's total water. Over the course of centuries, Kamino exited its ice age and the glaciers melted at such a rapid pace that the Kaminoans scarcely survived the loss of their territories brought because most of the Kaminoans lived in cities concentrated along the coastal areas. Regarding the Kaminoans, there are no files or reliable information about their past. However, what is known with certainty was that their population suffered the so-called the Great Flood, and also they evolved from aquatic creatures in the vast oceans. Their physical characteristics are clear from this evolution, with their tall build, large glass-encased eyes that see well in murky conditions, near-luminescent skin, long, slender necks, and spindly, digitigrade legs once adapted for firm seabeds. So, after the Ice Age and the Great Flood, Kamino was a very different planet. The Kaminoans shared the land with the planet's other indigenous creatures, and evolution allowed them to flourish above the ground. The Kaminoans' elongated appearance betrayed their mastery of land and sea, and when they were required to take to the air, they attached saddles to the similar amphibious Aiwhas and rode the giant creature. Within the Kaminoan civilization, the Aiwha are highly respected and revered beasts, not only because of its great function as air and sea transport, but also because within Kaminoan folklore there is a famous legend about the Aiwha, where their bravery and intelligence is told. Before the dawn of the second sun, there dwelt beneath the oceans a magical god beast. He was called Protas, for he was the first and only of his kind, a god in the beast, and the ruler of all animals beneath the surface. Protas was strong, stronger than any living beast, and mystical. He had powers beyond comprehension, but as it is in the waters, there were many who sought to take his place, to claim the title and honors of being the most powerful beast of the open seas. First came Melkor, son of the deep waters, a dark titan with sharp hunter's teeth and fins like volcanic mountains. He openly challenged Protas to a battle to decide who would be the ruler of the Blue Kingdom. Protas met Melkor upon the reach of Talina, and there they fought. For 6 nights and 6 days they roiled the seas, brawled and grappled, wrestled and dueled. Melkor, with his power and size, sought to overwhelm Protas. But Protas was quick and agile, and he turned Melkor's power back upon the deep-sea creature. On the 7th day, Melkor tired, and in his exhaustion faltered. Protas felt him. The seas churned with his blood, and the fish were fed for an eon on his carcass. Protas continued to rule the oceans. He was next challenged by the sentient group of Kikla swimmers. The Kikla were tiny, but they were legion. They all openly challenged Protas, since according to them, with their great number, they would defeat him. Protas met the vast swarm of Kikla in the deepest waters of the Asian Trench, and there they fought. For a month, they swarmed and struggled, swam and battled. The Kikla, with their vast numbers, sought to outlast Protas. But Protas was strong and single-minded, and he scattered the Kikla and slowly ate them, thus maintaining strength through the long battle. The Kikla were quarrelsome and inconsistent, and when they struck, their tiny teeth gave little wounds. Finally, at the new moon, Proteus gobbled the last of the tiny Kikla, and they were no more. Now, by this time, Proteus had grown old and arrogant in his power. He knew that none could oppose him, and he wielded his authority freely. One day, he came across a pod of Aiwha, who were swimming to the southern seas to spend the winter. Proteus blocked their way to send them to the northern seas and freeze. All the puzzled Aiwha asked him why they should do that, and with arrogant attitude, Proteus replied that it was his command. The Aiwha knew they couldn't return, that they would surely die in the North Seas. They had to fight, and so they did. But being Aiwha and not desirous of glory and fame, they didn't announce their challenge to Proteus in the manner of the old ways. Instead, they simply and swiftly attacked. First, like the Kikla, they swarmed him, and Proteus scattered them, and then, like Melkor, they used their jaws to rip at his flesh. But Proteus' hide was tough, and they couldn't strike a killing blow. But then they returned, swarming like the Kikla and attacking like Melkor. They were fierce, but not large. They were numerous, but single-minded. Thus, after a time, began to bleed Proteus. But they couldn't bring him down. One of the Aiwha saw that the god beast had exposed his soft throat, and sacrificing himself, charged and clamped down hard with his jaws. Proteus bellowed in agony, feeling the life force away from him, and smashed at the lone Aiwha's body with his fins. But even in death, the brave Aiwha hung on, never letting go to allow his friends to strike at Proteus a final time. And thus did a pod of Aiwha end the life of a god. And that's why, to this day, the Aiwha rule the oceans and are accorded a measure of respect even among the largest, most powerful, and most plentiful beasts. For the Aiwha desire no glory, defeated the monster god Proteus, and brought peace to the oceans of Kamino.